talk is about some explorations I've been doing over the last year about how we can create healthy and meaningful relationships with technology. And I first started with how we can create healthy and meaningful relationships with humans. I wanted to understand that first. And then how can we adapt that to technology? And I really decided to narrow my focus on websites and apps because relationships are so complex, I needed an area to focus in. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the talk is called Me, You, and Them, Designing Interactions for Healthy Relationships. So first I want to start with Le Corbusier. Le Corbusier was a designer, architect, urban planner in the 1920s. He really had an ideology of furniture being extensions of our bodies. He called it limb objects. He wanted the designs to be efficient and adapt to our bodies. And he felt that they should be docile servants, that they should leave us free to go about our lives, to live well lives. They shouldn't interfere with us, and we shouldn't have to adapt them, but they should work for us. So how have we come from there? Well, I still feel like we do have some docile servants around us. We have these stationary computers. Particularly, they were really prevalent in the 90s and early aughts. This was our main go-to for technology, and we built our environments around these computers. And we would go to them to do our tasks, to be more efficient, to do our word processing. And yes, we still have them at work and things like that, but we have moved on to these mobile partners, or what should be mobile partners. We have our technologies in our pockets and our purses. They're with us all the time. We're constantly interacting with them, and they're interacting with us. And it goes even further with Google Glasses, where we're not just taking them out of our pockets and our purses anymore, but that information is right there in front of us. We're constantly interacting with it. So how can we really build a healthy and meaningful partnership with these technologies? And I'm talking about long-term relationships, these applications and websites that we want to have these long-term relationships with. And more often than not, I'm hearing people say, why doesn't my technology know me? I'm constantly using it. So a relationship model. I did a lot of research on that human relationship aspect, and I really felt that Steve Duck and Rutherland Jocelyn, two researchers, psychological researchers, who are really renowned in relationship theories and research, were people that I really wanted to look towards and to define a relationship model. Relationships, like I said, they're complex, and this is a relationship model that symbolizes a long-term, healthy and meaningful relationship. And we first start in that first circle on the left, and that's where we begin our relationship. We begin to identify with someone and relate to them. We start to disclose information to one another, and maybe if we feel like we align to their personal and social orders, which I'll get to in a second, then we might invite them for coffee and do some small interactions. And that's really where you're trying to align with them. Then if we feel like we align with that person, we move on to that second circle on the right. And that's where we begin to deepen that relationship, and we can share more experiences, disclose deeper information, and we contribute to one another, and we share past histories and help each other grow. And eventually, as we evolve and we change, we can align with one another again, as long as we keep these things in perspective. Some things that we want to keep persistent throughout a relationship, whether it's in the beginning or in the deepening phase, are those personal and social orders and keeping those aligned, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Autonomy, we want to make sure that we are feeling autonomous, in control of our unique selves, that we're not being controlled and that nobody is controlling us and we're not controlling them. Timing is really important. When should you intervene? When should you really be in someone's life? Communication. I'm sure you all have had long-distance relationships where maybe you've met somebody and you're like, let's keep in touch. And then you go away and you don't communicate. Well, that relationship just fizzled out. So it's really about, and when you're in that second circle, that deepening phase where you really have understood someone, where you feel like that person gets me, that's where you might be able to come back and have some distance from that person and come back and say, it feels like we never stopped talking. So alignment is key. And part of the foundation of a relationship are those social and personal orders. And a social order is really those society's expectations, those norms that society has, so social norms. And in the Netherlands, which I just lived there for 2 years, it is a social norm to ride your bike. And So that's the what. They are riding their bike. Their social norm is riding their bike. And then the why. Why are they doing this? How did this become a social norm? Well, the reason is that in the 50s, they recognized that auto congestion and pollution were a big problem, the noise, as well as a lot of auto fatalities. So the Dutch, as a society, decided to expand their infrastructure and make this a part of their society, their social norm. In our culture, we have we have a subculture around cycling. And we're really talking about, I want to be like the Netherlands. We should have alternative transportation. And we're developing these subcultures around it. And yes, it is a bit of a social order, but it's not an expectation across our whole society. And this guy has his personal order right there on his back that says, more ass, less gas. So that is his personal order. It's his deep meaning, something that has significance to him and personal meaning for this guy. But the problem here in personal order that I'm talking about is we don't know why. And really, when we're talking about a meaning system, which is the social order and the personal order, we need to know not just the what, but the why. So what does that mean for technology? In technology, we have a social order, an expectation that when we go to a retail site, for example, that you'll always see your account information on the right, and you'll see a shopping cart with the number of items in it, and that's an expectation that we have set. And then the personal order, or it's a partial personal order really, is that what is in that cart? And this person put a red stapler. So that has some sort of significance to that person, but we don't know why they put that in their shopping cart. And the reason why it's important to know the why is so that we can later on down the road in our relationship, we can align with them. We can offer them things that really have meaning for them in a deep personal way. So how do we start a relationship? Identity and relatedness. So we'll take those personal and social orders, those never go away, and we'll look at the context. What context are we in? And how do we relate to that context? Is this a context I would be in? Perhaps. Then we look at body language. Is this how I communicate with my body? Are these people communicating with their body the same way that I would? Fashion. We look at the fashion. Are they dressing how I would dress or how I aspire to dress? And slang, the things that they're saying. What are they saying to you? Or what are they saying out in the crowd? Does it match how I would speak? So let's say you hear somebody speaking with slang from your own town. You might be more inclined to go speak to them because you recognize that you have some sort of relatedness or identity with them. How does this look with technology? Well, we develop our identity and relatedness through branding, essentially. And it's really important to be able to identify and relate to a website or an app as well. When we get there, we see whether or not it has value for us and if it plays some role in our lives. And so what Simple does, even with their name, they really show that they're trying to be simple. Through their website, they're trying to be simple in the design. And they set that context with the teak table or rosewood table, and they have this fancy coffee. And I'm a bit of a coffee snob, and I loved great furniture design. So this really appeals to me, and it really is part of my relatedness and my identity. And then they're putting that value right out there. They're really making it obvious. And that's important because when we go to a website or an app, we come with the cloud over our head. What is the intent of this place? The marketing, sales. So we really need to put what it is, that value out there, so we can make a decision whether or not we relate to it. If you look at Wells Fargo, honestly, I don't know what their personality is here. It's kind of all over the place. They got some colors, they got lots of text. This picture with the woman, it slides in and out, different pictures. It looks like a complicated relationship and that it's gonna require a lot of my time. This doesn't relate to me, and I'm not exactly sure what the personality is here. So the next part of the relationship is if you feel that you identify and relate with what you're seeing or who you have talked to, or maybe you haven't talked to them yet, but what you're seeing, is disclosure. And so disclosure is sharing intimate information. And we share intimate information so that we can align with one another. And we align with our social and personal orders again. And so we want to also balance that disclosure. We're not just going to put all our cards on the table. And the reason for that is that we want to make sure that we are autonomous, that we have control over the situation and ourselves, and that nobody can control us. We also don't know what the person's intent is. So if that person suddenly starts asking tons of personal questions, we actually want to run. It's too fast, too soon. We need time to incrementally disclose and build that trust with that person or that technology. So how do we do it in technology? This is Code School, and it is an application where you can, or a program where you can go and learn to code. And what they do is they have a nice little video where you can watch what the experience is like, which is nice. What is it all about? And they're kind of selling you that value. But we do this when we disclose to one another, too. When we are disclosing information, we are making a judgment whether or not this is something that we want to get involved in and what that experience might be like. So you can try out, I decided to try out JavaScript for free. And you can see the next part of disclosure is they're incrementally disclosing. They're showing you what your jQuery lesson might be like. So they're showing you a syllabus, which is pretty awesome. And then they're showing you who you're going to interact with as well along that way. And if you decide to do the free jQuery thing, you have a soft commitment. You're not asked for a credit card number or any other personal details, and the only reason why they're asking you to create an account is so that they can track your progress, and every time you go back to Code School, you can start off where you left off. Once you sign in, you see a video, and it gives you lessons via video, and they have cute little cartoons, and they explain what the lessons are going to be like, and so it's still disclosing to you about its behaviors and things like that. And then once you get in there, you have the option to see this guide, and it shows you all the tools, and you can still determine whether or not you align with it. And if not, you can leave. Or if you don't align with seeing what the tools do, you can also exit out of it. So you still have autonomy there. Too fast, too soon, what does that look like? So Netflix, I know it's widely successful, but they really bank on that word of mouth. This is the first and only screen you're really going to see to get into that experience. They have a generic picture of the context. They tell you, okay, I'm going to watch some TV shows and movies, but I really don't know what that's going to be like for me. What is the Netflix experience? And I can start a free month. That sounds great, right? Well, the next screen is, give me your credit card information. Let me get your cash. And so the intent, you kind of feel like slighted, like they aren't being honest with you and all they really want is your money. So that's not a great way to disclose. It feels like you're putting the ring on the finger too fast. You're suddenly getting into a commitment before you've gotten a chance to know that technology or that person. And again, you want to run because it's too fast, too soon. You need some time to incrementally disclose to one another. It's not just about one person disclosing, but it's about both people disclosing a little bit of information at a time and then moving forward and understanding what that experience might be like. So we have gone through the first circle, which is the what. And that's where you really identify and you try to see if you align with one another in the initial part of the relationship. And this is where we are right now with technology. We have the what's, although I don't think that we're doing it very well. I think very few websites and apps are actually disclosing appropriately and also creating that sense of identity. And where we need to be headed is in the why, to really create that meaningful long-term relationship that can keep evolving, that can be this infinite cycle, this infinite relationship. And so the why is really where you build that deep understanding with that person. So we start with shared experiences. We have past stories that we share, synchronous and asynchronous experiences, equivalent knowledge, and we participate in each other's experiences as well. And that's as humans. This is what we do. But the things that technology can't do are equivalent knowledge and participate in each other's experiences, which I'll get to in a few moments. So past stories, this is actually a friend of mine and her friend. They are having a mutual experience together, and later on, they will go back and they'll talk about this experience. And because they were experiencing these things together, they know what it means for one another. They can align on that meaning of that experience. In technology, we have Netflix, for example, that will show you your progress, where you've been and your experience. It remembers that, which is great. And then it also learns the different things that you have watched, the TV shows and things like that. But it's not understanding the why. Why are you watching those TV shows? You end up with things like this, suggestions, assumptions of what you might want to watch, because maybe you watched a cartoon and then this is what it thought was associated with this cartoon. But honestly, I don't want to watch Pokemon. And Netflix has actually lost people because they feel like they're not suggesting enough content or the right content for them. I do think that they have changed some of their logic, so they're getting better and better at it, but they're still not addressing the why, so they're not really able to entirely align with you. Synchronous. So synchronous, I'm sure the ladies in this room have experienced this, where you're with a friend and you cross your legs at the same time, and suddenly you think, oh my God, we're so much alike. And, and so it really puts you on the same page for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but it also makes you feel like you have a bond with that person. So in technology, maybe you don't have a deep-seated bond, but you do start to feel like you're on the same page. And this is Rdio, a music streaming application. And on the left, you have the mobile. This is what the mobile app looks like. And then on the right is the desktop app. And I was playing Jake Bugg, the song Two Fingers, and I was on my mobile application. And I decided to put away my phone and open up my computer, and it actually remembered exactly where I left off and picked up right where I left off, which is pretty awesome. And then if I was on my mobile phone and I had Jake Bugg still on there, or maybe I played something different on my computer, get into my car, which has Bluetooth, I turn on my radio, and it will instantly pick up where I left off. It feels almost magical, and when I get out of the car, it's not playing on my phone anymore. It pauses that song, which is pretty awesome. Asynchronous experiences, this is where we actually start to reflect and internalize things, and asynchronous experiences are really great for making decisions and allowing someone to make a decision. And this is Simple, and I actually was playing around with Simple, and I wanted to get to know Simple and wanted to know what the relationship would be like. So I saw a messaging feature, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna try it out. So on a Saturday, I messaged them and I was like, hey, just wanna see how this works. And it might be annoying for them because they have other work to do rather than bother with me. But within 4 hours, I'm on my way to the movies, and I receive a message from Emily, and she's like, hey, it works like this, with smiley faces, and it's very friendly and warm. And I kind of felt the connection with her, but it was really that timing. I didn't expect to receive a message on a Saturday afternoon from a bank because most banks are closed. And I received a message on a Saturday afternoon, which is pretty awesome. And it was a pretty personal message too, so I felt like it was kind of striking my meaning system. But really, when we're designing asynchronous experiences, we really need to think about timing. When is the right timing? We have our own social expectations, our social norms about what that timing should be, and we also have our personal expectations around it. Equivalent knowledge. As I said before, this is something we can't design for right now. So equivalent knowledge is, let's say I'm at Smith Rock, Oregon, and I am hiking about, and I feel that, wow, Smith Rock is really powerful. I feel free, and this is really grounding. And I'm talking with somebody I just met, or even a friend, and they say, I went to Smith Rock too. So it's having that equivalent knowledge of being in the same place or doing the same type of thing, even though we're doing two different activities. And then she says, wow, it felt really grounding and really powerful and very freeing. So we're sharing an equivalent knowledge of what Smith Rock means to us. That's equivalent knowledge. And technology can't do that. It's not going to Smith Rock and being like, wow, that was a really grounding experience. And whether or not technology can do that, I would say that would be left up to artificial intelligence. I think that we can evoke that feeling maybe by pulling some sort of social data into it to meet with my meaning system. And this is where we could innovate. Participate in each other's experiences. So this is, again, about mutuality. It's about sharing an experience together with somebody. But it's not just about being in that same place at the same time. It's about knowing how that person is actually experiencing that experience. Are they upset? Are they having a lifetime or whatever, I can't say it. But, they're having a great time or a bad time. And what we can do if we know their meaning system is we can anticipate what we can do for them, so we can change the way that they're experiencing it. We can do things that strike their meaning system, strike their personal accord to help alleviate them or enhance that experience. And technology doesn't know how we're actually experiencing experiences. And it's also about timing. You don't want technology interjecting when you're having a bad moment, maybe even if you're with a friend and that friend can alleviate you. You don't want the technology being like, hey, you're having a bad experience. That would feel very disruptive. So it's finding a balance, figuring out where are those appropriate times where technology could interact with you and understand how you're experiencing something and doing it in a very streamlined way so it doesn't feel disruptive. Contributions. So contributions are really about gift giving. And I picked this picture of goodwill because we have a tendency to give kind of crappy gifts often. And we also fill our cars with crap and take it to Goodwill, and we think that other people can use it, and oftentimes it actually ends up in the trash. They don't want our crap either. And so it's really knowing what has meaning for people. And then collaborative effort is part of it, so working together, and then tokens of commitment are also gifts as well. So collaborative effort, working together to achieve a task, and that makes things feel much more efficient and easy, and it feels like that person is a part of your life, that they're really engaged with you. And so how do we do it in technology? This is, again, Simple. I know I keep referencing Simple on Netflix. But Simple, they disclose at the top what direct deposit is, and then you have 3 boxes to choose how you want to do your direct deposit. And they make it very easy for you to figure out what is best for you. And then all you have to do is put in an employer name. So you really just have 2 boxes to fill out. And they pull the information they know about you and to generate a form to give to your HR person. So you're working together to achieve a task. Tokens of commitment, it's about gift giving. It's about giving those gifts that actually have meaning for people. And in this guy, it was Valentine's Day, and his friends were all working, and he wanted to give them a smile. And so he posted this photo of, hey, I'm giving you all a smile, but I'm also creating you these unique packages. And one of his friends saw it, and he said, Laster Blaster, that's me. That package looks amazing. And this guy here, was able to pick out stamps that aligned with that Laster Blaster guy and was able to create some sketches and doodles that really aligned with that person. He was creating unique packages for his friends that really struck a chord with their meaning systems. So what does tokens of commitment look like in terms of technology? Here is, again, Simple, and they sent me this email that felt very personal, and I still don't think we're getting tokens of commitment correct. We're getting there, but it's still not meeting our meaning systems. And so this token of commitment was a nice little letter saying, thank you so much for being a part of Simple. And then they had a picture which felt very personable with their staff, and then they were holding pictures of the people who didn't make the photo shoot. And then they offered me a $25 Uber gift card, which I thought that was pretty cool that they went outside of Simple to offer me something that wasn't Simple related. That really kind of meets my subculture, I guess. But actually, I don't have Uber in Austin, and I've never used Uber before, and you guys are probably all gasping, thinking, what an idiot, she should really use it. But I plan to. I have a gift card now, but But it is a token of commitment that they're trying to give me, but it doesn't completely meet my meaning system. And so that's where we can also innovate a little bit more. Growth. This is something that I feel that we're not doing correctly either. Growth is really about finding people that you aspire to be, traits, characteristics, things like that. And we seek and we surround ourselves with people that we really admire, and we try to learn from them and evolve from them. And they're able, if they know your meaning system, they're able to give you tips and tricks and help you evolve as a person. It's really about growing your own personal meaning system, growing your better self. And this is my best friend. She's actually a mountaineer and a ultra marathoner, and she's somebody that I really admire. And I come from a mountaineering background, or my family is a bunch of mountaineers, and so very athletic. And she is somebody that when I feel that I'm not being very active, she can really speak to my meaning system and tell me how to get active or how to feel active. And she really is speaking to me personally and giving me unique bits of information that apply directly to me to help me grow as a person and grow my meaning system. And I don't think that technology is doing it correctly right now they're making you fill out lots of information, and I'm only talking about websites and apps. I'm not talking about wearables and connecting and all that sort of stuff. But this is Fitbit. And Fitbit makes you input all of your nutritional data, which is a lot of work. And when I'm talking to my friend, it's a very seamless conversation. It feels very organic. I'm not having to do a lot of work. She's actually doing a lot of work for me with trying to help me grow and evolve. So this is Fitbit, and I'm having to put in a lot of information. And in the end, I get this output of, today I can still eat 205 calories, which doesn't have much meaning for me, and it actually feels very restricting, and I don't feel autonomous, and I just would rather not bother with all this effort to find out that I can only eat 205 calories. And understanding is it's the whole double circles. It's the infinite cycle of a relationship. We are only in the what right now, and we're not doing that properly. We need to get to the why, and that's where you get to really understand people. So we need to understand in order to tend and care in a meaningful and valuable way. And here, this person has created a dinner for 2 for sick people, and supposedly the person that they've created the dinner for 2 likes Pabst Blue Ribbon when they're not feeling well. Or maybe they don't understand their personal meaning system, and this person assumes that they need a Pabst Blue Ribbon when they're not feeling well. So we really need to understand in order to participate and to contribute in very meaningful ways. So in order to do that, to evolve and align, we're constantly changing. I'm wearing a pink jacket today, and I have never worn pink before, and my friends will probably look at this video when they watch it and say, what the hell, she's wearing pink. My husband actually hates this jacket. I think that maybe I need to communicate more with him and disclose why I picked it. But it's really evolving and realigning. We're constantly changing. We are changing our fashion. We're listening to different music tomorrow than we did the day before. And to evolve and realign, to keep that infinity going, you need to have contributions, participate in each other's experiences. You need to help the other person grow in a meaningful way. That is how you can evolve and realign. You need to constantly disclose. Disclosure never goes away. And that's how we have a healthy and meaningful two-way relationship, is to keep that evolution going and understanding one another's meaning systems. Thank you.